I am going live early. It's a little earlier than expected, 1:12. I'm going to bring the computer in with me as I prepare my breakfast. I don't even have my teeth in yet, but so what? Because I was out in the garden. I have my temporaries in. I just use these overnight because the dentist made a mistake and made these too big for me. As you can see them, and you can see in some of my older videos that I had these at first. But he gave me he made the top ones over again. So I use these overnight. And I was just out watering, and some of the scene of massacre becomes staging ground for Israel's invasion of Gaza. I am looking for revenge. That's one of the headlines in the Wall Street Journal. Fears of humanitarian disaster mount. This is about who? That's Gazans also. The deadliest attack of Hamas onslaught. So we're talking about Israel some more. And I'll just tie this in with something I saw on the Eco Challenge race yesterday. I'm going to disconnect my mouse now and bring this into the kitchen with me because I got to prepare my meal. Never did this before. Never mobilized my notebook. So I hope you're going to be able to hear me talking while I'm all the way over here. So the one thing that the Eco Challenge guy, while I was watering, I was practicing doing a live feed while I'm gardening instead of waiting until the end of the day. The thing is, I don't know how I'd look at the headlines at the same time, unless there was some kind of thing that's shown it. Unless you could buy some kind of thing that shows it across your helmet. Plus, I have to wear this in the garden, an aspirator, because there's too much pollution for me. And no matter where I go, I wear that for shopping now. In my video, I said I wore the half mask for shopping, but now I wear that for shopping too. So I don't know how I'm gonna, if there's a video camera that lets you put a microphone into a mask like that. So that's something I'm gonna look into. But I think I'd also like to get paid for it too if I do a garden. An all day kind of thing where you're in the garden and I'm showing you garden stuff at the same time while I'm dealing with my neighbors who comprise most of my psycho-razzi during the day. And it's like an endless conversation with them to get them off, or to my God, doing like a psychodrama with them to my God to try to get them off of my back. And it's just endless. So it brings up everything. It brings up everything that you need to know about saving the world, because the psycho-razzi really lead the pack. This is hard to remember what I have to do next while I'm trying to talk at the same time. So this is just my morning ritual here. I'm going to wipe my bottles off from last night. So I don't drink this much pop all the time. This is my pop bottle. And I like to get things straightened out. You need to save the world, you need to be clean too. This is all part of saving the world. You keep these habits and you don't drop them when you get a good job or you have children. You keep the same good habits, or you're just heading us all for disaster, because people that get the jobs are the people that get looked up to. They're the role models, and they need to keep all the same good habits that got them their job to begin with. And if it wasn't good habits that got them their job, then the billionaires messed up using their algorithms on those privileged people. This is my pop. I'm putting this away, see? This is my tea, which I'll pour later. I use iced tea all day because I can drink so little water with this constant wordboarding that I drink it iced all the time. I can't remember the last time I had hot tea. I think I had a couple sips when I made it. When you make it, it's a little warm. So now I switch gloves. Those are my lifetime gloves. And my faucet clean-out gloves. I feel like the elves were here while I was outside because my floor's dirty already. You probably can't hear me over there. Maybe I better put it up here. See, but I don't like that because it's too close to where it could get sprayed with food. I can't. I just have to hope that you can hear me. If you can't hear me, tune in when I get to my desktop. And there might be some more stuff to go over by then. This takes me about a half an hour to get my breakfast ready. I wear gloves because I don't want to wash my hands 1,000 times. Like I said, they take tooth and nail. So if I have to keep washing my hands, that's more wear and tear on my skin. Okay, now where am I at? Oh, you know what? I didn't take my break first. I get to sit down for a couple minutes when I come in. So, I'm going to have to sip of something. I'll just do water. It's like this. It's like being in a life raft on the ocean, and there's no water to drink. You can't drink the water because it's poisonous, really. It's like acid. It's like drinking acid when you're being waterboarded 24 hours a day. So I'm going to take a 10-minute break here. I put my back privets on at 12:55. It's 1:17. And I'm going to, I went over almost most of my yard. But then on days like this, I just keep watering. I just keep irrigating because it's going to be 66 degrees. It's sunny, and it's sunny, and there's a 10-mile-an-hour wind going on, and it seemed to be blowing most of the time I was out there. There's at least some wind. So let me look here if I can work this. I'm not used to this. I just got this machine. And I got Wall Street Journal already up tabbed. So, the Eco Challenge, how it ties in. The Eco Challenge that I've been watching, it's not a new thing. It's not a live thing. It's not new. It's a recording. But a guy said on there yesterday when I was watching, he said, I think it was might have been the curly team. If you don't make friends and make good friends and be part of a group, you've failed. Now, that's exactly what you would expect a misogynist, sodomist, male centrist to say, taking the other extreme, because that's like female centrism, group work. The individual is really men stuff, and the group is really a woman thing when you think about it. Community, group. If you had to decide which one it would be more of a female centrist thing. And so he takes the opposite side to conceal his sodomist, male centrist, misogynist stance on things. He's obviously that to me. What was the first thing? That was in response to something else, though, and I remembered it while I was outside moving around. Now that I'm sitting down, it's harder to remember. There was something preceded that. Or that was the first thing, and then he said something else later. I forget now, but that is just so wrong. That's not true. So are you going to condemn every mountain man in the world? He's just looking for a fish, a barrel of fish. Either he's a headhunter or he wants another slave for himself. He wants more friends that will answer to his beck and call and that kind of thing. That's absolutely wrong. And that brought up, while I was outside, the fact that my neighbor's wordboarding Since I tell the truth constantly, I won't go near them because they want to drag me into their culture of rape and lies and pedophilia. The game to me is pedophilia, and I'll explain why. I mean, if you have to lie all the time to begin with, to get along with people and to be part of a group, that is a social disease in itself. That's the way it is up here. It was never any different. And I don't have any friends. That's another reason why I don't have any friends, because I won't lie and I won't play that game. And everybody else is dead. The psycho-Razzi pretty much killed everybody else. But the thing about the game, how it comes into play between me and my neighbors, is the fact that, so they can lie to me. If I get together, like at any time I would reach out to them, and I did try and I have many times. Even after calling the police 30 times, I tried to still reach out to them, and I tried to go through arbitration with some people, with 2 families across the street, because they are so physically aggressive towards me. They wouldn't come to arbitration. They wouldn't agree to do that. So they don't want to tell the truth. They don't want to lie to an arbitrator. They don't mind lying to me, but they don't want to lie in court. They don't want to have to lie in court. So they'll save that for when somebody does finally take them to court, I guess. So the judges in this game, right? There's psycho-Razzi judges too. There's psychic judges that are judging you based on how you communicate, non-verbally with your neighbors during the day. And even if I'm not lying during the day, when I'm, not in the presence of anybody, the judges have them as winning if they're lying to me and I'm telling the truth, because it's a sign of weakness that I won't get into this game. And it's insane. It's insane to do that to people, because it hurts. It hurts people that are disabled, that can't keep up with the lies. It hurts them more. So it makes them even more crippled and at a disadvantage than they already are. And I'm one of them. I still won't try, even though I have all this clarity now. I still won't lie unless, once in a while I do lie for kicks to these people, but not to anybody that I want to make friends with, certainly, but only in defense and in catharsis, to God and not to them to begin with. I'm talking to God all day. I'm not talking to them because I'm doing an ongoing psychodrama 24 hours a day, because I will not kibitz with these monsters. They're total monsters. And there's some kind of judge, evidently, with this in the psycho-Razzi arena too, in this word boarding that goes on, because they take it as me throwing up to them. I'm throwing up to them because I won't lie back. And this is all day, every day. I'm supposed to sit here and lie all day, every day, and practice lying and practice some kind of lying rap. Like that I would ever even want to have a relationship with anybody that I had to lie to is preposterous, and I will not do it, and I will never, ever do it. So that's that story with my neighbors, and that's what goes on. And I don't feel like I've gotten the rest because I'm continuing to talk, but maybe I'll get used to doing this, or I'll just slow down. And here's me, and I clicked on this thing to see how ugly I look without my teeth, or just how I look in general. So that's the story with my neighbors, and that's why I don't have any friends. There's nobody that's available to me. And I even scared away my Jesuit friend from SmithKline Beecham, because I started talking about addictions, and her addiction came into play. Not on purpose. I wasn't targeting her, and I tried to convince her of that. It's just that food is the first addiction for most people. So I can't stay away from the topic. I was headed towards being a drug and alcohol counselor, and it's always going to be a topic for me, especially with people I like. I was just truly trying to help, if anything. But the honesty doesn't end. It never ends. Well, it's not that I wouldn't lie to her, and it's not that I never do cordial lies. I've always done cordial lies. I've always said I'm okay when I just came from, when it's never been okay. It's always been a total nightmare of depression and anxiety for me. And I still have it to this day. I just manage it really well. I just manage it really well. Oh, they're saying okay. Okay, Susie, they call me. They said, okay, Susie. Okay, she's ready for one of my milk duds. So Valerie's ready for a milk dud. Sometimes I know who the voice is. I really don't think that's Valerie, but she's the one that's been talking like that. So they're working on Valerie's they're building on Valerie's thing. Valerie's using that one right now. Okay. Valerie's using that one. I'm okay. Like as though I asked her for something. Like sometimes I think they're doing it for PR. In the psycho-Razzi arena, like I asked them for something. So she says okay to me out of nowhere. And I start feeding her my milk duds. Because that's all, when you're up somebody's butt 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, you're going to have to expect some milk duds. Right? Am I right or am I wrong? Oh, this one's. So, I forgot to get the other stuff out first. That stuff to get over my dishes. That's iron. Iron gets too messy. So I usually get my other stuff out first, but I forgot because it's hard to talk and do anything at the same time. Here's last night's bowl. Instead of leaving it out for the ants, I put it in the fridge to attract ants. I threw last bowl at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not going to do dishes at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I just threw it in the refrigerator. So what else do we need here? This is it's like the Rossi's trying to get through, but I can't understand what they're saying. I see Sue, I think. They don't even call me by the name I prefer. And my neighbors expect me to talk to them. They don't even call me by the name I prefer. I'm sorry, Sue. There they go. There's the word boarding. It's not just that, it's everything they say, because when somebody doesn't want to talk to you and you keep coming at them, it's just total torture. So, but one of the more things that I can't stand here is, I'm sorry, Sue. I mean, they don't even use my name, so I feel sorry for the person whose name is actually Sue out there. Because that ain't my name. It ain't my name. It ain't my name. Sue ain't my name. And I'm not telling you what my name is, because I do not care to speak with pedophiles. I don't want pedophile timing. I've spoken with you enough that you know my mind. You know I have a blog. You know where to see everything that you need to know that I have to say to people. And I'm not interested. If you talk to a pedophile long enough, you'll grow pedophile timing. It's a contagious disease. The game is contagious, obviously. Now, my neighborhood is full of mostly of the blue-collar mobsters. But I consider anybody that plays the game a mobster. Now, just because these people have access to the underworld and that kind of physical threat, and with that came along with the ability to vandalize most of my yard, which you'll see if I get to go live in the yard. That doesn't mean the white-collar mob doesn't do more. They poisoned me to begin with. I was poisoned by an antibiotic. And Pfizer hasn't given me restitution for it. Why not? I don't have a life because of it. So the white-collar mob is just as bad as these blue-collar mobsters. There is nobody that's sanctioned for any of this. There is nobody on this planet that has a mandate to torture somebody for 62 years, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So if they do this to somebody that has a family that are pillars of the community, imagine how it is for people that don't have an education and never learn how to sort all this stuff out. Didn't go to school for social work, didn't go through 7 years of therapy because she was starving to death, and didn't take have all those have an under degree in psychology. Those people kill themselves. They literally kill themselves. And what does the white-collar mob do? Just enough PR, right, to keep you coming back to them, to make them look like somebody you want to buy something from. They'll do just enough. And that is that. And that is all they do. This stuff with Israel is just another part of the three-ring circus. Someday, those Middle Eastern people are all going to be part of the faction, of the global faction that rises up and crushes us or cripples us enough, just like they did to Rome. Now, Trump's starting the northern faction. You know, he's representing what will evolve into the Visigoths and the Vandals that attacked Rome from the north. So it'll be both sides that crush us. Of course it is. That's what the privileged do. It's one big gentrification project, and that's what's going on in the Middle East right now. It's been a world war in the Middle East since before the Roman Empire even. You know, Egypt went through their thing. The Jews went through their thing. They were big, and they started farming 12,000 years ago, which gave them the ability to trade more, with the Chinese and everything. So they were leaders by themselves. Now they're leaders with us. Most people in this country are at least part Jewish. Let's face it, a lot of us have dark hair. I have blue eyes, but I have dark hair. Hitler had dark eyes and dark hair, and they consider him German. I don't consider him German. I can see he's Asian. He's some sort of he was some sort of Asian. He was not German. I mean, you have to have at least one criteria to be German, don't you? At least blue eyes or blonde hair, white eyes or blonde hair, don't you? He was not German. So, it's a three-ring circus in the Middle East. I don't like seeing people die that way. I've been praying against war since I was 6 years old. And for universal affirmative action is what this program is about for saving the world. Universal affirmative action. And that includes defense, because everybody that wants to go to war should be allowed to go to war too. But universal affirmative action has to apply to taxes and everything. Every job. If you want to do commercials for a living, a measly commercial, come on. Anybody should be allowed to get in line for it to do a commercial. That should be part of affirmative action easily. Now, when you do bigger productions, I don't know, maybe they got some room to say no, some people can't be in a movie. But affirmative action has to apply to everything, and taxes, especially taxes. Because why should somebody like Jeff Bezos pay the same amount of tax I do if I happen to make the same amount of money he does at 62 years old in 1 year? Why should I pay the same tax that Jeff Bezos is paying? He should be paying more because he made more. The tax you paid should accrue throughout your lifetime based on your income and all the other encumbrances you have. People that are never bullied and just do the bullying should pay more taxes, and they know exactly who it is. Their algorithms tell them exactly what to sell to me on the internet every day. They know what I'm saying to you right now, and I'll see advertisements later based on this. And recently, they keep coming up with these big boob women advertisements. It's always in the upper right-hand corner. It's the most prominent advertisement. It's as though I'm lesbian because I have short hair and I wear glasses, or because I have short hair, and maybe I look like a guy sometimes. Maybe I look like a guy. So what? So they keep putting these big boob women, and I can't stand that. I don't even like big boobs. I think it's hideous, and I think it's just symbolic of the gluttony, the global gluttony that we have in the world. I think it's just symbolic of the global gluttony. It's bourgeois, and I hate it. I don't like big boobs at all. I think they're gross. Sorry, ladies, but I think they're gross. And to you women too, here's a note, here's a tip. Shave your bush so you don't have to use as much toilet paper. Don't even use toilet paper for number one, because you can easily cut up rags. Cut your rags up. It's time to stop chopping down forests. I would have been advocating this much longer ago if I wasn't inundated with wordboarding. But I think, women need to trim their bush, at least, the part that's where the pee's dripping down into. I was trimming my whole bush, and then I let it go because I just got sick of it, of looking like a bald cat. So, I let the whole thing go, and then it didn't even get that long when I was young. I don't know how it got so long, my pubic hairs, because it never even got that. It must be because I eat more protein now, because I finally got used to eating protein, which I couldn't even eat more of when I worked. I tried, and I couldn't get on this diet because it's too stressful at work when you're working for somebody and you're making thousands of dollars for somebody else. And you got the psycho Rossi wordboarding you 24 hours a day, and your employer doesn't even care. SmithKline Beecham, and now they were SmithKline Beecham. They were Beecham when I started working. I worked for Penn State Supply, but those people weren't that bad. But it wasn't a viable income. I didn't get a viable income till I worked in a job that I absolutely could not stand working at. That totally exponentialized my depression and anxiety. And they were Beecham at first, then they merged with SmithKline, and then I left. I was gone in '85. I was fired because of my disability, basically. And, they let me go, so I was able to collect unemployment. Technically, I was fired. But, so I worked for them for 8 years, and they didn't care. They didn't care what went on. I never complained to anybody about it because I was afraid to. Well, that's not true. I did, and but I don't think it got any further than like my group leader. I mean, what's she going to do? If she ever did mention it to her upper people, that they just don't care. These Fortune 500 companies and all these billionaires, they just don't care about the psycho-Nazi. They make money on it, and that's what I was going to say about before about the blue collar and white collar. They both make money on the psycho-Nazi, nailing people, sodomizing people on a daily basis. And this stuff in the Middle East, it's just all part of the three-ring circus. I'm taking my stuff now over to my desktop. And we're going to get this warming up. It's there. And, so I have to put my teeth in to eat. So this will come back over here to my desktop. Yeah, I think I'll use these lights. So I'll be back in a second. I just have to put my teeth in and get my warmed up breakfast. Valerie say, sorry, Suzanne. That's not my name either. And you're not invited. You can go straight to Hades, Valerie. It's my brother Dick's girlfriend. Now she's working for my nephew at Bencho's Aurora Real Estate. Valerie, my brother John, Dick's girlfriend, works for Bencho's Aurora Real Estate. He started joining in on the fund, on the psycho-Nazi fund, after I called to try to get help with my dead battery in my car. And then I went into my whole spiel about saving the world. I gave her an update. Because I had talked to her before. And 2 weeks after that, she joined the psycho-Nazi, and she hasn't stopped since. That's Valerie at Bencho's Aurora Real Estate. I'm sure they don't want to just gentrify me out of this house. Okay, I don't know if you heard me, but Valerie from Bencho's Aurora Real Estate just chimed in and say, I'm sorry, Suzanne. So I lied and said, that's not my name. So I don't know if you could hear me when I was doing my, oh my God, it's 34 minutes already. So Valerie, who was my brother John's girlfriend, they lived together for a long time. She works for my nephew now at Bencho's Aurora Real Estate. That my brother's Tom started that business, and I called Don there for help because I had a dead battery. My car battery went dead, and they never did help me with it. But I gave her the spiel. I gave her an update on where I was with my writing, and I told her about the Saving the World blog, and I told her it was a really good time to start reading it because I got to a point, I'm at an apex now, and I have the most clarity I've ever had in my life about my life's work, about what I began praying for when I was about 6 years old, whenever you could start praying. Because I started, when you grew up during the peace movement, the supposed peace movement, that was just all a big PR charade for that generation. Because they never, how many of them people actually became, and how many people of them today are fighting for universal affirmative action so everybody could have, so it could be fair for everybody. But I grew up in this, I was born in 1961, the year the Vietnam War started. And so I grew up during the peace movement, and it was a strong influence on me. And I saw those people getting hosed down, black people getting hosed down, and people are dying everywhere. And my community was like not even involved in any of it. There was never any march around here. People didn't even talk about it. It's like it didn't. It's like Pittsburgh existed outside of the whole realm of the whole peace movement and everything. Of course, we had veterans. I dated a guy that was a Vietnam veteran. And he's gone. I mean, he was emotionally damaged from it. But I'm not going to go into that because I have a lot of respect for him. He didn't join the psycho-Razi. So I even with all the torment that he was going through himself, he didn't join the psycho-Razi. I wish he could have been friends with me because I would have supported him. But maybe I'll talk about that some other time. But so I started praying young for wars to cease and for basically what comes around to universal affirmative action. I just called it food back then. But if it's not universal affirmative action, if you don't have that, food is useless. You can't digest, many of us can't, I couldn't digest enough without universal affirmative action. And I'm like, I created it myself just by taking steps. And for myself, as much of it as I can get. There's a lot I can't do. And I'm at a wall now where I can't get past, largely because of the word boarding and all the other pollution. The air pollution, the water pollution, the pollution that's in the food. Won't let my body digest any more than I can't gain weight. I'm 20 pounds underweight. So I grew up. So I started praying for that at a really young age. And what it comes out to is it ended up being saving the world. It wasn't just about me anymore because I started writing just about me. I was just going to write a book about the abuse that I incurred and the travails of a disabled person, an intelligent disabled person who did everything she could for her community and her family and to stay connected. And still I have no friends. I tried the whole party scene. I tried everything there was to try and got exactly nowhere. So I think that needs to be said. There's people that will go beyond what I go to stay connected. But how healthy really are they? You can't stay rational. Lying is not rational. Being a chronic liar and playing this game that's really pedophilia, it's sanctioned pedophilia. Because I began to tell you that, because it's sanctioned pedophilia, because people like me, before I got this clarity, before I was able to start holding on to my food 10 years ago and holding on to it, I still had diarrhea up until about 3 years ago. Something must have happened. I must have been holding on to something better because I was able to progress. So I must have been holding on to a little bit better. But for people like me that are severely disabled and children, all your children out there may not be able to keep the lies and stay rational. Play the lying game and stay rational at the same time. I don't think most people are playing rationally. They're just out there to hurt. And when you join the word boarding psycho-Razi, that is terrorism. That's psychological terrorism. So the game is basically sanctioned domestic terrorism. And whoever else, when you're watching the TV, the television, the people that are in shows, they get in on the psycho-Nazi too. They do that sorry Sue stuff, just like my neighbors. So a lot of the television people, even A actors, get in on it. A, B, A through Z, they all get in on it. And since I started rejecting them and talking back to them in a way that put the responsibility in their court, because they're at the top. They're at the top of their fields, and they have all the best friends, all the most influential friends. It's their responsibility to respond to this kind of stuff in a way that stops it instead of perpetuates it. So it's sanctioned misogyny, sodomy, and pedophilia, all of that stuff. So when you see this stuff in the Middle East, it's just part of the three-ring circus. Don't get so excited about it. It's not the route to saving the world. You can use the subject. I can use any subject as a base point now to jump off and get into the subject of saving the world, because everything is geared towards this male centrist libido, which is the overemphasis of the male libido and territorialism over the female centrism, which is the health and welfare of people and the environment. That is because that's the tit, right? That's the tit, and the men have the gun. The men have the gun, the women have the tit. I'm not saying we don't need the gun. All countries, I keep a gun. Happiness is a warm gun, the Beatles wrote, right? That's sleeping with your gun. I have guns. That's not the issue. I'm not against war when it's necessary. But what's going on is a continuous world war that started at the dawn. It's always been here. It's since man started fighting. It's just been a continuous war. They learned to speak in all over the world at the same time too, or approximately, And they've been doing this three-ring circus and this war as a subterfuge to universal affirmative action since forever. And wars just it's a filibuster against universal affirmative action. It's a military filibuster against universal affirmative action. So I don't get excited about wars at all. And of course, I'm against wars in general. And I did the quote yesterday from George Washington. It's in my webcast description if you want to quote it yourself. Factions elevate authoritarian leaders to the ruin of public liberty, said George Washington in his final speech, submitted to the American Daily Advertiser in 1796. I got that from the Smithsonian Magazine, August 2023, page 30. And my added comment is that the privileged use factions to divide and conquer. The privileged are in control of all the factions. So how could anything change? UAA, which which is short for Universal Affirmative Action, brings us all together under one complete cultural and economic plan. Our complete physical, mental, and spiritual health and welfare should drive the market, not libido and territorialism alone. Most people don't even own their own property. So why should territorialism be the main part of our cultural DNA? It's absurd. It's not even rational. But this is what the privileged have in place since forever. Since the guy that impressed his neighbors by having the most cows. Since the first guy that impressed his neighbors by having the most cows. That was a part libido and part territorialism, obviously. That's about fertility and property ownership. So it's a never-ending battle for me and for everybody like me and for all the unprivileged, even if they are doing what the privileged want them to do because they have to make money to feed themselves. There's still billions of people battling this insanity on the outside. So I think I'll continue to do my webcasts while I'm cooking breakfast, because I have to eat the breakfast, and if I don't eat it, I can't get back out in the garden. I have to cook a roast. I got to cook 7 pounds of lean beef today. So I got to do that, and that's going to be tough to get in with watering the garden as well, because that takes me, I don't know why that takes so long. It's I hate cooking. As soon as I get inside, it's like I slow down. It's like I can't move. I think it must be the pollution, the indoor pollution, the stuff coming off the rugs and the paint and the the urethane and just whatever synthetics and even non-synthetics. You could have some organic, maybe there's organic arsenic and stuff. God knows what. Those 4 main metals, I think the cadmium, arsenic, lead, and I think it's mercury, I think are the main ones that they do testing for. So if you see heavy metal free or something, that's probably one of them 4 that they test for. Those are the main ones. How do you get arsenic out of our soil when so many people use charcoal? I hope they're stopping that in South America, using burning trees down to fertilize, because there's arsenic in wood. As you're just using the plants and let the arsenic get farmed out. They have to think of something else. I don't know why they don't want to use cow manure. I buy that for my garden. I get a load once in a while. I just use cow manure mostly. I have used some Miracle-Gro, but if you let it sit for a year, a lot of the weeds just kind of farm out of it. You could cover it, and a seed can only last so long, even on your shelf. So if it's at least getting some thawing and unthawing moisture, if you have it covered with plastic, of course, it'll stay better, unless if it will ooze into the rest of your yard before you use it. Some of mine, this time I only had covered with I bought a heavier fabric to cover it. So a lot of that washed into the yard this time. But even so, even the stuff under the plastic, the weeds that you get in the manure won't be as bad after a year or two. They decrease right away after a year. And really, there shouldn't be much left after a year, because most seeds are only good for a year. So if you have a place to store manure, it really is a good thing. So I'm going to end here. And maybe I'll see if there's one other article that I can do something short on. I got to go. Actually, I got to change my my water. Well, hold on. Don't go away. If you want to wait, I'm going to go change my irrigation hose. I'm going to look at maybe one more article. I don't know how people can eat and work. It's just not possible. They get credit for being at work all day. It's like impossible to eat and work. You can't even eat and talk. How do you eat and do all this? They get credit for being at work 24 hours a day. I deal with the psycho-Razzi 24 hours a day. So these people can kiss those people's asses. Sorry about that. So these people can kiss those people's butts, and I don't get paid a penny for it. Okay, so maybe one more. There's a humanitarian disaster. Let's see what's in the economy. A big World Bank takes on China's clout. The U.S. sees expanding the international leader as a way to shore up relations with the global South. Wow. But there's no Chinese in here. I guess I have to read that article. That's a confusing one. China's country garden wilts. Looks like they're done on the Chinese. What's going on? Are they lying? Because they lie when it's going down. Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah, markets are done, so maybe they're lying. Oh, get out of here. When you move off of the folder, the folder content should go away. This is so frustrating with this stuff. I think that's more algorithm bull that gives you people like me more red tape. This country won the Tobel. Here's the one I wanted to do yesterday. This country won the global tax game and is swimming in money. That is so mean. Who do they think is paying for that? It's unprivileged people. It's we the people that are paying for this global tax game. I'll talk about my big gripe against periodicals instead. Where is the daily banter, discourse, articles, news flashes on environment? This is what I'm talking about. The health and welfare, people in the environment is what should drive the market up and down. Where is it today? There should be something. We're in Envirogeddon. We are in Envirogeddon already. Women are always in Socialgeddon because we've been oppressed since forever, and we still are. The only women that make it is the women that convert to male centrism, that side with men, that play the game, or just bide their time and ride the fence. Where is where is policy changing media? Where is it? I would start my own magazine if I had the money to do something like that, and the support. I couldn't do it myself. There's no way. I have to cook all my meals myself. I do all my shopping. I do most of the repairs, and I cut my own grass. It takes me like 3 or 4 days to do my lawn because usually it takes 2 days to whack it, and I cut it another day. So, and that gives me the exercise I need anyway. I don't mind the exercise. I have to have it or I can't eat. Some people can sit on their butts all day and still eat. To me, if I don't eat, if I don't work, I can't eat at all. I have to stay physically active. It's like physical therapy for me. And it really is for everybody just to stay rational, but people don't do it, and they don't stay rational either. World Bank takes on China's clout. They're stepping into China's shoes. See how long it took me to get that one? I thought it was a lie at first. And we still don't know if it's a lie or not, though. They make it sound like it's complete and it's a done deal, and there's nothing China's going to do about it. So in that respect, it is kind of a lie, I think. So, but at least it's a subtle one. I mean, at least it's kind of like just a sarcastic one. That's not a blatant lie. Maybe they wanted markets to move up. Or they're probably playing it positive today. It probably just means they're playing it positive today. They're day traders, the people they support. The news is all geared towards supporting the privileges way of life. I mean, there's not even any policy changing environmental news on a daily basis, which there should be. And we should be talking about affirmative action, universal affirmative action. And there's just nothing here. And this is no good. I read them because you still learn about the world by reading the enemy's periodicals. I mean, there is nobody but enemy. Because even who's supposed to be liberal? The Washington Post? They're the same way. Reuters, I have Reuters here as one of my favorites. Here's Reuters News. Israel forms emergency government against Hamas as deaths and damage in Gaza. So they got an emergency government just to deal with Hamas. So it's like, would that be like our Homeland Security? Of course, there's no way to know. No way for somebody with my limited reading skills to sort through that to find out what that's about. So who is Mohammed Deif, the Hamas commander behind the attack on Israel? I'm not going to read that. Exxon secures lead. My alarm from yesterday is going off. Thank you. I had that one all wrong. So there's just not, there's nobody. There's nobody with an agenda for we the people. I don't care how liberal the magazine appears to be. It's a three-ring circus. These guys just create news for each other just so they could appear to be more conservative and more liberal when all anybody cares about is money. I think that's where I'll end it because I don't think there's really anything else I have exploding in my mind. But except to say that maybe this is helping me a little bit somewhere on the inside, because you know those doves that are like grayish? They're kind of more docile than normal birds to begin with, but they don't usually let you come right up to them. And when I went out to change my hose, I mean, it was this close to me. It was right there, and it wasn't flying away on me. Maybe something settled inside me. Maybe it's just old age. They're probably just less afraid of me because I'm weaker. But I hope it's because of maybe this is maybe this kind of catharsis. Maybe this is catharsis for me doing this. But I'm just trying to save the world. I'm just trying to get people interested in the policy that we need, which is universal affirmative action. So that's why I'm doing this podcast. I think it's the only way to save for people like me to even have a life. And so join me again. I'm going to try to be here every day. I wasn't here yesterday. I don't know if I could be here every day. If I just talk about things while I'm making my breakfast, that I can definitely do. But I don't know if I could, if I could look at a couple headlines before I do that, then maybe I could work it that way. If there's something you'd like me to discuss, please let me know that. Either on Twitter, Facebook banned me, or here on YouTube on this video. If there's some subject you'd like me to discuss, because I could discuss saving the world from any point of view. That's the kind of clarity I've gotten to, and that's why I decided to do this show, and why I'm not pulling the hair out of my head with in a swimming pool, in a pool of nerves, because I think because I've gotten to the point where I have enough clarity that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm not afraid of telling an inadvertent lie or looking like an idiot or just having to come back and explain things over again in a more comprehensive and finalized way, because I've reached a point of clarity now in my writing, and I've been writing since I first got a computer. I think my first computer was 98. I started writing my book almost right away about my disability. And then it took an environmental turn with the BP oil spill. And I started doing videos on the BP oil spill. And I got some good response. It's like, I think one of them's only, the best one is probably only a couple hundred views, but I don't pay for any of the special snazzy stuff. And I don't have a million videos, so they don't advertise my videos that much. I don't have the money to pay them, and I don't have the friends to make me go viral, and I just don't have the support to get more advertising. So that was like 10 years ago, right? The BP oil spill. So I've had an environmental tone to my stuff for 10 years, and now it's just a total global environment and people perspective all wrapped up into one, which is what social work, which is the whole thing behind social work. It is people and environment, or they call it person in person in environment in social work. But that wasn't even how I thought of people and environment. It's just obvious. Our two main resources are people and environment. It's not gold. It's not gold that backs the dollar. It's people, because people mine the gold. People manage the gold. Everything that's made is about people. It's not about the commodity itself. It's about the people and the environment that feeds us. And you have to take care of both of them. And only universal affirmative action will take care of both of them, can take care of both of them without, Pop going the weasel and having factions fight each other until the planet is completely terraformed. Both the white collar and blue collar mobsters are terrorists. There's no doubt about it. It's called terraforming because the people that back it and promote all the behaviors that lead to it are terrorists. There's no doubt about it. Wordboarding is the last thing that they'll want to get rid of, which is why it's the very first one in my list. If you look at my blog, I'm going to have to put that in my description, my webcast description, blogger.com. We the People, Suzanne Gabriel Bencho, blogger at blogger.com. We the People blog And it's number 14A is the whole spiel, this whole spiel on saving the world through universal affirmative action with the economy this time. It doesn't have to hurt the economy at all, because you could tell the economy, the markets, to go up and down based on whatever you choose. It's like a game of Mother May I. They like games. Let's play the game of Mother May I, world. Let's tell the markets to go up when somebody builds a house over 3,500 square feet, or down when they build a house over 3,500 square feet, or puts a bowling alley in that needs heated and everything. You know, if it doesn't need heated, maybe it's not so bad, but you're still using a lot of wood to make those personal bowling alleys. And golf courses, my God, golf courses. New golf courses should be flooring the Wall Street with the amount of trees they got to take for those golf courses, unless they're building them in the desert and not transporting Lake Michigan to Kuala Lumpur to grow trees on their golf course. I'm totally against that. They have to make their own water or decrease their population to what they can provide water for. And we need to do the same thing. We need to decrease our population in America and stop using toilet paper, women. Shave your bush and stop using toilet paper for number one. I did. If I could do it, anybody can do it. So, and you know, when you're bigger too and you're heavier, how much discharge do you have, ladies out there? How much discharge are you using wads and wads of toilet paper to suck all that stuff up with? That's a sin. That's gluttony. And if you're any kind of Christian, you shouldn't be a glutton by now. Come on. So I'm going. Women need to wise up and set the pace for men. Show them how strong you are. Women are stronger than men. Set the pace, women. Come on now. Okay. Bye.